My late father-in-law used to always tell us right when we got married, when we were asking for marriage advice, he said, love each other real high, but the most important thing is lower your expectations. I hope the same will be true of you today. Well, thank you very much. Thank you, Anne, for the very warm welcome. It is such an exciting time to be in the transportation space today. We're witnessing a growing torrent of technological advances and new concepts that could fundamentally alter the transportation landscape in the coming decades, maybe even sooner. Robotics, Internet of Things, advanced data science and analytics, communication technologies, machine learning, all of these things around us are spurring new advances and new ways of thinking in transportation, including things like automated vehicles, unmanned aircraft systems, on-demand ride services, and the next generation of super fast levitating trains and vehicles. These are all potential and real advances that are occurring every day, and we are at the forefront of capitalizing on these emerging technologies. And it's incumbent upon all of us in this room, to remember safety is first. That is one of the key principles that Secretary Chao has laid out from day one, that as we embrace new technology, new AI, new predictive analytics, we can never forget that safety is our #1 mission at the Department of Transportation. So today, I'd like to discuss 3 technology areas that are garnering significant investment, testing, and deployment. They are 1, data integration and analytics, 2, automated vehicles, and 3, unmanned aerial systems. The U.S. DOT is committed to ensuring the safety of our traveling public, and our emphasis is on improving our ability to analyze risk through advanced data analytics and on providing dramatically improved safety through technological innovation and vehicle automation. We have made significant progress in transportation safety over the recent years. However, we continue to experience challenges. In 2016, we suffered 37,461 traffic fatalities on U.S. roadways, with around 2.5 million estimated non-fatal injuries. And traffic fatalities increased both in 2015 and 2016, erasing years of traffic safety gains. There were another roughly 900 fatalities in rail, vessel, and pipeline, and 350 in general aviation. And while we at US DOT have almost 900 different data sets available at our disposal, we are not fully leveraging the information they contain to improve safety. The department's data is oftentimes siloed, and it comes at different cadences. The various data sources are analyzed separately, housed in different modes, and many are only made available on an annual basis across the nation. Much of this data has been collected and organized in the same ways for years and maybe even decades. Yet recent innovations in data science provides us with the opportunity to do so much more. The advent of vehicle automation and data science and artificial intelligence behind it are rapidly transforming the auto industry, and this is creating a data-rich analytic environment. More broadly, we have all seen the growth of big data sources which can provide high amounts of anonymous, near real-time data, including information about roadway, operating conditions, and other factors relevant to risk. Advanced data analytics and machine learning are innovations that are helping pull valuable information out of these data streams. We all only need to look at Amazon or Google. Whenever we open up these platforms, we see things we didn't even know we wanted, and we end up racking up huge bills. At least we do in our household. These developments give us the potential to understand risk at the system level in our transportation system. They enable us to develop tools and discover insights that will lead to new life-saving strategies that address injuries and fatalities on our roadways. If you think about it, the way we've looked at transportation decades have been pretty similar for the last few decades. We know that speeding, alcohol, and seatbelt use lead to higher traffic fatalities. But today we're at a point in which there are near-term proximate variables that we should also be able to use to correlate to traffic accidents. And this is one of the big pushes Secretary Chao has given us. Use the latest technology to prevent traffic fatalities, use what we have at our fingertips to improve safety. And so, at the US DOT, we recently announced an important new effort in this regard, a safety data initiative to improve the way we use data to inform policy and decision making. This multimodal initiative includes 2 pilot programs to modernize its data analysis and integrate traditional data sets with new big data sources to gain insights into transportation safety. We're focusing on 1, creation of clear, compelling data visualizations to make data analysis and insights accessible to policymakers. 2, integration of US DOT databases and new private sector data sources to provide new ways to answer safety questions. And 3, we will use data advanced analytic techniques to identify risk patterns and develop insights that anticipate and mitigate safety risks to reduce injuries and fatalities. To this end, we've launched 2 pilots to test the viability of our project and learn about data integration. Both pilot projects are combining federal and state government data sets with new private sector data sets to build predictive models. The first pilot project is integrating traffic data from Waze with crash data provided by states that implement electronic data transfer, or EDT. EDT is a program that allows US DOT to receive crash data electronically through secure feeds from consolidated state systems, typically within 7 days. Additionally, the Waze pilot will integrate data from sources that provide severe weather, demographic, and highway geometric information to test how well we can estimate crash risk. We're then applying machine learning techniques to understand features of Waze crash and hazard reports, which are most associated with EDT reported crashes over space and time to support the risk modeling effort. And so we're investigating if Waze events can serve as a reliable, timely indicator of reportable traffic crashes for states that have not yet implemented EDT. And so if you think about it, Waze is an app that all of us have that gives us real-time data. Most traffic data, most accident data, and certainly fatal traffic data has a significant time lag. One challenge for policymakers around the country is having near real-time data to make decisions. And so our hope here is that by using Waze and finding the efficacy of Waze, we can enable local policymakers and city managers, first responders, law enforcement, with better near-term visibility to make decisions and improve safety in their respective cities and states. The second pilot project examines speed, particularly on rural roads. We know in this room that speed is a factor in almost 1/3 of all traffic fatalities, and we also know that rural areas are oftentimes understudied and underinvested in. 19% of all Americans live in rural America, yet rural America accounts for 50% of traffic fatalities. And so there's a huge mishmash. In our rural speed pilot project, we're using data from GPS-enabled devices to learn more about the role of operating speed in crash events. This anonymized data, known as the National Performance Management Research Dataset, or NPM RDS, is delivered to the Federal Highway Administration on a monthly basis to fulfill congestion-related performance management requirements. Because NPM RDS provides prevailing speeds at 5-minute intervals across the entire national highway system, it has something to tell us about safety. And so this is one of the tenets we have with the Safety Data Initiative. Most data sets we collect are for a specific purpose that is set into law years, decades ago. We're starting to take a look at the data sets and say, are there other ways we can mine this data? Not in a technical way, but just in sort of a logical, common sense way. Can we draw other insights from this data? NPM RDS, which usually tracks congestion, let's think, can we use it to track and predict traffic fatalities or severe accidents? So we're integrating this powerful data with traditional data sets that provide posted speeds, roadway design elements, and known crashes on the national highway system. And for the first time ever, we will be able to look directly at the prevailing operating speeds across multiple states to see how speed and speed differentials interact with roadway characteristics to influence the likelihood of crashes. We expect to learn much from these pilot projects to inform our goal to establish multiple methods, provide nimble, dynamic data analysis and data tools that will allow sophisticated exploration of how safety risks interact. Over time, we envision that our efforts will encompass additional databases and ultimately include analytic projects that will help us understand the underlying causes of crashes, from human behavior to vehicle and infrastructure design to weather. So we will be better equipped to predict, mitigate, and potentially prevent crashes. Through the Safety Data Initiative, we will soon invite the public and private sectors to participate in a challenge to create innovative analytical visualizations to gain insights into reducing serious crashes. And we see this used throughout industry today. The way in which you share data has as much to say about how a person will engage the data. Charts that are easier to understand data encourages us to study data and to capture the imagination. That is what we're hoping to do at DOT, engaging professionals across the department, firms that analyze big data, researchers, and state and local partners to work with us to take this new approach to reducing traffic fatalities. State, regional, local, and private data can complement federally collected data to provide a better understanding of safety risks and solutions. And in this new era of big data, we want public and private stakeholders to draw on these new rich sources of data that can enhance our understanding and improve the effectiveness of our policies and decision making. Ultimately, our goal is to construct a data infrastructure that will allow the exploration of how safety risks interact, from human behavior to vehicle and infrastructure design to weather, roadway, and city conditions. And this will provide our stakeholders with advanced tools to create a safer system. Ultimately, we hope to bring down the number of traffic fatalities, not simply by building new and wider roads, but by using the data we have at our fingertips. And I believe that this is part of the revolution we're here talking about today. If you think about the history of transportation spend, the vision has always been, let's use new countermeasures. Let's deploy capital to install countermeasures, broader roads, traffic circles. But there's a whole nother way to bring down traffic fatalities, and that's through zeros and ones. That's through bits and bytes. By analyzing the data we have at our fingertips, the sources, the methods that all of us in this room have been trained to use, let's use analytical methods to improve traffic fatalities. In addition to data analytics and the Safety Data Initiative, the department has launched two other major initiatives around this concept of the age of innovation. One has been around autonomous vehicles. DOT launched new federal guidance for ADS, Automated Driving Systems 2.0, a vision for safety, this past September to support and encourage the development of automated vehicles. Secretary Chao announced how this guidance builds upon previous policy statements and incorporates feedback through public comments, including those from our international partners and from congressional hearings. A Vision for Safety 2.0 paves the way for the safe deployment of advanced driver assistance technologies by providing voluntary guidance that encourages best practices and prioritizes safety. DOT is already well into the development of AV 3.0, which will expand the scope to other modes, including trucks, rails, ports, transit, and highways. Secretary Chao has already announced that AV 3.0 will come out as early as this summer, and we're working very hard with many people in this room in ensuring AV 3.0 will clarify the range of terminologies used in the AV ecosystem, create a standardized vocabulary to ensure clear communication, and offer a holistic surface multimodal framework to speed the safe testing and integration of surface automated driving systems. Stakeholder feedback is a critical component of USDOT's AV policy development. USDOT has issued a series of formal requests for public feedback through the Federal Register, and we've held multiple in-person meetings and have hosted a public AV listing summit at our headquarters. Areas of input include public safety of first responders, public and consumer education, cybersecurity, insurance and liability, disability and accessibility, employment and labor. Stakeholder input has led to the expanded scope of AV 3.0, and we anticipate this being released, as Secretary Chao has announced, as early as summer of 2018. While US DOT is committed to maintaining safety, we're also committed to preparing for the future. And we seek to modernize existing regulations, eliminating ones not needed for AVs, and adapting others so that they are appropriate for AVs. Where new regulations are needed, they must focus on the capabilities we want AVs to have, not on the technologies used to provide them, so that new technologies can be introduced without continually having to update the regulations first. Put another way, we hope to prepare for the future, encourage innovation without compromising safety. Under this approach, we will not pick winners and losers among technology innovations. We will remain tech neutral and let the quality of safety performance and market interests drive the evolution of innovative technologies. As Secretary Chao has mentioned, we will emphasize the efficiency of the transportation safe system while enabling mobility choices and access to all in our community, including a growing senior population and people with disabilities and disadvantaged and rural communities, which in the United States have been forgotten for a long time. In addition to data analytics and AVs, I wanted to spend a few minutes talking about UAS, or Unmanned Aircraft Systems. UAS are central to the department's innovation agenda. We believe UAS will continue to enable high-impact research, create new jobs and industry, save lives, and provide benefits that public and private entities are only beginning to explore. However, we must strike a careful balance. On the one hand, we need to ensure that our regulatory structure, or lack thereof, frankly, is not an impediment to innovation. We want the public and private sectors to try new things and to be bold in doing so. More on that in a second. On the other hand, we must ensure a high level of safety and security even as we develop these new technologies. And so DOT and the FAA are working hard to bring the culture of safety that we have in the manned sector to the UAS sector. We must spread the word in the drone community. I hope, for example, that everyone has the FAA's Before You Fly app on their phones. These safety-enhancing efforts are critical not just to protect people and property, but to gain public acceptance of UAS technology and to ensure that it delivers benefits to users and non-users alike, benefits for everyone. The department is working to integrate UAS into the national airspace. Continued input from public, private, state, and local partners is critical to developing the path forward. The Secretary fully supports the FAA's effort to integrate UAS into the national airspace along manned aircraft. Those include streamlining operational approvals, addressing security concerns, and partnering with industry on data collection and sharing. We've been making notable progress. It's been only 18 months since the small UAS rule became effective. Yet the rule, which we call Part 107, is the first comprehensive set of performance-based rules for routine small UAS operations in the United States. And today we have 50,000 new commercial drone pilots in the United States, drone innovation, and fundamentally new economic opportunities, including for small businesses. I'd also like to highlight, in May of 2018, just a few weeks ago, Secretary Chao announced 10 pilot program sites across the country where state, local, and tribal governments will be working with private industry to study expanded drone operations. The pilot program will be the primary vehicle that we will use to accelerate the integration of UAS into the national airspace. And the program will pair state, local, and tribal governments with private sector partners to demonstrate innovation and advanced operational concepts. The Drone Integration Pilot Program, or IPP, will let our partners harness more of this potential. Several of them will be testing beyond visual line of sight, ops over people, and the integration we gain from these trials will help us expand the regulatory framework. The President and the Secretary's vision for the program is to think creatively and flexibly to address the technological, regulatory, and security issues that are slowing the sector's development. On the technological issues front, we're counting on program participants to be as bold as they test and validate advanced operations like beyond visual line of sight, flying, and package delivery. These advanced operations will explore new, potentially scalable and interoperable technologies for mission-critical capabilities such as reliable command and control links and ID and tracking capabilities. On the regulatory front, we're in search of new and effective models for the federal government to work with state and local tribal partners because we all have a shared interest in safe and economically viable UAS operations. That is why the program features safe state, local, and tribal governments as lead participants. And of course, we expect these entities to forge strong partnerships with the private sector, which in most cases will be developing the technology and engaging the advanced operations. Examples around these regulatory models are things like, what will the public feel about drones flying over their houses or backyards? Will they dissuade their policymakers? And if so, what does that mean for us as regulators? Should we then route drones over streets? It's one of the many questions we're looking at, and we hope to solicit from the IPP. And last, but certainly not least, the security issues. The President has made it clear that we will coordinate all advanced operational concepts in the program with our federal security partners at DoD, DHS, and DOJ. We are encouraging lead applicants to do the same with their local law enforcement agencies as well. And we hope to discover new and successful approaches to enhancing public security. As you can see, this program will address issues at multiple levels, and we're excited to see this industry work with state, local, and tribal entities to expand drone use in new and innovative ways. We will want to engage and continue to engage with the drone community. And if you think about it, many of us in this room have parents and grandparents older than us, children and grandkids much younger than us. And it's amazing to think that we are on the cusp of this intersection where our children and their children may travel in a system that is safer, their packages that they receive may be delivered differently, and the way in which we go to our doctor's appointments or we take our parents or grandparents to get their checkups will be through automated vehicles. Yet it's incumbent upon us in this room to make sure that that is done in a safe way. And so as we usher the future and as we take research projects and science fiction that we saw growing up and make it a reality, there are real questions around regulation, around safety and privacy and security that are real, that are serious, that we must grapple with, and we are asked to lead the way. And so it's an exciting time to be here. It's an exciting time to be at Volpe because all of you will be playing a critical role in helping form these regs and usher in new technologies. So I want to thank you for the opportunity to speak and frame some of these exciting issues.